everyone, it's Annette and welcome back to Cotto Verde. Today I'm going to be making a tablescape and I'm going to be using various different beautiful spring flowers and plants, and most of these can go in your garden when you've finished with them in your tablescape. And I'm going to use various different baskets. I've got a bird cage here, it's a fake one, and I'm even going to use a cake stand. A tablescape is just an arrangement of pots and vessels that you can put on a table, and you can either do this on a table that you're not using, or you could put it in the center of a table, perhaps if you've got guests coming around or something like that. It could be like an arrangement, so you don't have to go to the trouble of finding fresh flowers for an arrangement. You could actually just use a tablescape, and that's what I'm going to be doing over the coming weekend. So what I'm going to do is just have a go. So some of these I've not made an arrangement in before. I haven't made an arrangement in this bird cage. This is something that I picked up recently, and I thought it looked really cute with something inside it. And other things are going to be very easy to pot up. I'm just going to talk you through the plants that I'm going to put in as I put them in. But as I said, all of these plants can go in your garden when they've finished, or when you're done with your tablescape. You can plant them out straight away, and then you'll have these plants for years to come. I'm going to start with this basket. As you can see, it's completely open weave, so I'm going to use moss to line the basket, but you could use just as easily the liners that you put inside hanging baskets and just sort of cut it to fit, and that would just prevent the soil from falling out. So because this basket is going outside, I'm not going to worry about putting a plastic liner in or anything like that. I'm just going to line it with moss, fill it with compost, put my plants in. So this is sheet moss that you can buy. It's fresh moss, and all you do is you just push it around the outside of your container, like so. I've been storing this and some of it's a little bit dry, but I'm not going to worry about that too much because it will all get wet as I use it. So I'm literally just pushing it around the outside. And I don't mind too much if there are little gaps, as I said, because this is going to be an outdoor arrangement. I don't mind if soil falls through, it's not going to bother me at all. It's not like it's going to come pouring out anyway. So there, I have literally lined my basket pretty well. I've got a little bit of overlap on the top, which is fine because I can just tuck it over or tear it off if I don't need it. And then what I thought I'd put in here is sort of a yellow and blue arrangement. So I'm going to put in cowslips and forget-me-nots. So this is your regular primula cowslip, and this can just go out in your garden when you're done. And it's not particularly pot bound or anything, but I'm going to take off the top compost so that I can dress it with fresh compost and again give it a little bit of goodness. And I'm just nestling it in there. And then I've got, the Latin name is Mysotis, and this is Mon Ami, this variety. Oh, that's quite pot bound. So again, I was just taking off a little bit of the extra soil. I'm going to break up just a few of the roots around the bottom. Actually, what I might do is put the other cowslip in first, and then I'm going to squeeze the forget-me-not in the middle. And I'm going to push it up to the side, and then take this beautiful forget-me-not and put one in there. I'm just squeezing it in. They're not going to be in here for too long. And I'm putting this one in this side because That way we can look at the arrangement from both sides and there won't be a front and a back. There we are. And then what I'm going to do is put a little bit of soil around the top. This is the peat-free compost that I always use, and I'm just top dressing it. I might just use my hands. Okay, so there's a bit of earth falling out there, so I'm just going to pack that with some moss. So I've just shoved some moss in there so that the compost doesn't fall out. I don't know why I call it earth. And then where I've got extra moss, so let me show you. Where I've got extra moss, I'm just going to tuck it over the top like that, and it sort of neatens up the edge. And when it's wetter, it'll be easier, more pliable. I'm just doing that all the way around. And then if I need another bit, you can just tear off the bits you need like this. And that's the first one. And that took moments, and it looks absolutely glorious. And don't forget to water it in, obviously, that's the next job. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to decorate, and this might prove tricky to do towards the camera, but I'm going to try my hardest. Maybe I'll do it towards this one. This next one is an experiment because I've not filled it before, but I'm going to treat it in exactly the same way. So I'm going to line the outside with a bit of moss so that you can't see the soil that I'm going to put in there. What I need to remember with this is that I haven't drilled any holes in the bottom, so not to overwater it, and in fact the plants just can't really stay in here for very long. I've just built up an area around the edge and filled the centre with some compost. And now the plants that I thought I'd put in here are these, and I'm kind of going for like a bluey, purpley scheme. Oh, and a bit of lavender. So I've got some lavender plugs here, and I thought lavender might look quite good because it's got that kind of bluey grey. So what I have here are some muscari. These are called peppermint, and they are just so beautiful and delicate. I've got Pulsatilla vulgaris, and that's a beautiful sort of purple yellow flower. This one's going slightly over, but there are lots more buds here. So this is called Cotula, gorgeous fluffiness. It actually has little yellow flowers on it, but there aren't any flowers at the moment, so I'm very happy with sort of the fluffy bluey green foliage to put that in with this arrangement. And then obviously I've got the lavender. This is just Hidcote lavender. So, and then this is called Ambella. These beautiful sort of, there's actually varying shades of colour. So I'm going to put the muscari in here, like so. That is my little blue and grey arrangement, and I love it. need to water this one. So this is the arrangement that I'm most excited about, and I'm going to be using this cake platter, but I'm taking the glass off it. So what I'm going to do is exactly the same as I've done before. I'm going to leave some overhanging because I want to mound the compost up so that I can plant, you know, actual plants in it. So I need to be able to mound the compost up. So I'm going to make an edge out of the moss. It looks a mess at the moment, but I promise you it's going to look amazing. So what I'm going to do first is I am going to put a bit of compost in the gaps. So just using my hands, I'm just going to make sure everything's got a good amount of compost. So I'm adding compost because it's got fresh nutrients, and also so that, you know, some of the moisture's retained when I water it, because yeah, otherwise they'll just die. And I'm really, you know, filling it up as much as I can and pushing them in, make sure everything's bedded in well. You're probably wondering how I'm going to make sure this closes up and stays like this, but keep watching. I have an idea. I don't know if it's going to work. Stay with me. This is my idea. I have some of this rustic wire, and I hadn't decided which colour I was going to use. I'm going to use the lighter coloured wire because it's spring. So it's wire with rattan wound around it. You can sort of see the wire underneath. And I am going to use this to hold my moss up and make my mound. I am going to try to haul the moss up and hold it inside the wire. I may need to do 2 lots of wire. You could just use, you know, the wire that you use for making advent wreaths, I suppose, and then cover that with a ribbon. You could just do a basket, you know, make your arrangement in a basket, put the basket on your cake stand. So I've kind of just twisted it there, and then I'm going to make these into a bow, I guess. What I'm going to do is go around and, now that it's secure, put more compost in where I need it, and then put some moss on top. Firstly, to make sure that it retains moisture, but also just for aesthetics again. So as with everything in the previous arrangements, all of these can go in your garden afterwards, and you don't have to buy these every year. I mean, chamomile you can grow from seed. I didn't. I'm growing loads of other stuff, so didn't have the time or the forethought, to be honest. But you know, if you had like primroses in your garden, you could put those in an arrangement if you wanted to. There we go. It's my little mound of colour. So then, to finish everything off, I'm just going to do a few individual pots. And I've got this absolutely gorgeous primula here. This one is called Showstopper Calypso. I mean, these buds are going over slightly, but there are plenty more underneath. So this is Anderson's Gold Thyme, and just love the yellow colour in the spring. So I'm making a hole in the middle, a well in the middle, put my thyme in, make sure that there's room to water it, and then put some more compost. And this will last all summer if you keep it watered. It's a little bit root bound, so I'm just going to break that up. It stimulates the plant. So I could just put this in here like this, but I want to make sure it's got more compost, you know, additional nutrients so it grows well, and then I can put it in the garden more successfully. This is called a Chamaecyparis Rubicon. I have no idea how you say that, but I just really liked the texture, and I thought it would look really cute in a pot. It says it's for tubs and baskets. I wonder how big it gets. 90 centimetres. Tubs and baskets. It's 90 centimetres tall. I'm going to break the roots up again, just a little bit. Just mess with them a bit. Okay, so this is my last pot, and in here I'm going to put an Arenaria Blizzard Compact, and it's got beautiful white flowers, but I just love dark green. So I hope you like my tablescape. It's just a fancy word for a table decoration, but it's you know, you basically create like a landscape on your table, and I think it's absolutely gorgeous. It's the view that we're going to get from our kitchen, and it's going to bring me so much joy to see these. I hope that it's given you some ideas maybe of things that you could use to make a tablescape of your own. Maybe you've got some containers hanging around the house. All of these plants will go into our garden once I've finished with them here, because they'll all come back again again next year, which is fantastic and doesn't make me feel so bad about buying some of them. You can of course grow some of these from seed and, you know, plant bulbs yourself in the autumn so that you've got something to use in a tablescape. I've picked some primroses and some daffodils and some cherry blossom at the front there, just to add a little je ne sais quoi to my tablescape. But anyway, if you've enjoyed this video, then do subscribe to my channel by hitting the button below. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you all next time. And then I've got Catula. I have never grown this before, and it has little yellow flowers actually, but they're in planes. Oh, there's an actual worm in there. Healthy moss. I know I shouldn't use my secateurs, don't watch.